Anthony Hernandez is going to be a problem for these middleweights, man. I was talking about it before. Hernandez is top 5 caliber. He is one of the best fighters in this division. And now with his domination over Roman Dolidze, one of those guys should be his next fight. Reinier de Ridder, which is the fight that he wants. The loser of Dricus and Hamzat, Strickland, Adesanya. Give Fluffy any of these fights, man. And it is somewhat poetic that Anthony Hernandez was going up against a guy who was being cornered by Merab Dvalishvili. And he put on that type of performance, broke his opponent down with constant pressure, impeccable cardio, fought at an insane pace, and his opponent just could not keep up. He essentially Merab'd the fighter that Merab was cornering right in front of him. Or you could say he's the Cain Velasquez 2.0 because he certainly fights like him. He just has more of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu aspect to his grappling than Cain did. Cain was more of a boxer wrestler, but as the sport evolves, Hernandez is going to be a lot more well-rounded, just like a lot of these other middleweights are. Dricus, Hamzat, Imavov, Bohayo, RDR, and now even Hernandez, all of them are able to strike, wrestle, and grapple at a respectable level. But he throws hands the way Cain does, he wrestles the way Cain does, and he puts that pressure on his opponent from the beginning of the fight to the end. And this time he finished Dolidze with a hookless, standing rear naked choke, literally bullying Dolidze by dragging him across the octagon while trying to choke him unconscious. Bro, he did it just like Solid Snake from Metal Gear Solid. He also took him down with an arm triangle throw, and Roman Dolidze is a big middleweight. He looked bigger than Hernandez, but the ability of Hernandez to bully his bigger opponent like that is impressive. The striking combinations were great, but he was especially sharp with the right straight, even comboing with knees to the body, and he was able to constantly move forward with that offense, even though Roman Dolidze was returning with punches because Hernandez constantly was rolling his head with shots. Even this hook right here, in real time, it looked like it landed flush and whiplashed Hernandez's head, but he actually rolled with the punch. Very quickly, he's rotating his head at the same direction the punch is going. It lands still, but with a lot less impact. So sometimes for Roman Dolidze, when his punches are getting rolled like that, and that defense allows Hernandez to counter and continue throwing shots forward without taking a step back, and he was constantly blocking punches. So he doesn't go with the defense a lot of other fighters do, where they like to backstep away from shots. Hernandez likes to defend where he is standing and always tries to move forward after, as he relies on blocking and slipping shots rather than evading using his footwork. Most of his footwork are meant for his offense more than his defense, when it's usually the opposite for most fighters. And that's why he's always colliding with his opponent in the clinch. And you can see he's training a lot with elbows and knees, knowing that he's going to be in the clinch many times throughout his fights because of the way he approaches the fight with all that forward pressure. He also intelligently offsets his opponent with calf kicks, knocking off their balance so then he can land his punches afterward. Because if the opponent is out of his stance, it's a lot easier to land shots. So Anthony Hernandez is extremely technical and frustrates his opponent of landing their more powerful shots with good defense and constantly staying in their face. And strong onto that is him taunting his opponent while he's slipping shots and landing his own. I mean, look at this right here. The guy is literally smiling at Dolidze as Dolidze is trying to land his own punch. That could be so incredibly frustrating that even if you land shots on this guy, he's just gonna smile in your face about it and continue to walk you down with a plethora of shots and constant takedowns, withering his opponent away, easily winning the fight. Just straight bullying his opponent and beating him everywhere from striking to grappling, except from the guard. Whenever Dolidze rolled to his guard, Hernandez stepped away and allowed him to stand up, and then just rinse and repeat with high volume striking, took him to the ground, landed big ground and pound shots, going for submissions, controlling them very well. If Dolidze rolled to his back, then Hernandez would just stand up and step away again. And just kept repeating that throughout the fight. And at the end of the second round, he thought that he finished Dolidze. He landed big shots on top. Herb Dean stepped in between him hectically, like as he was trying to save Dolidze for more damage. But he did that because it was the end of the round. And he didn't want Hernandez to throw more punches after the horn. But both fighters thought that the fight was over. Hernandez thought he won the fight. Dolidze thought he lost. But then Herb Dean told them both, no, the fight is still continuing. That was just the end of the round. And that could have caused an adrenaline dump for both fighters, especially for Hernandez, right? Because Dolidze wants a breather. He wants to rest more. Hernandez was firing on all cylinders. That could have caused him to start tiring out, but it didn't. He kept up the pace, kept fighting after, and just dominated the fight. And Hernandez landed these knees before the choke. Two of them seemed to have landed to the head, but then the last one was when Roman Dolidze was downed. But he did block it. Now the thing about Herb Dean as well is he allowed Dolidze to cheat multiple times in the fight before he took a point away. Herb Dean seems to have a knack for this. Like a fighter can cheat multiple times before any point deduction. He grabbed onto that fence so many times and then grabbed onto the glove, and it was funny the way Hernandez raised his hand up to show Herb Dean how he's grabbing his glove. And still no point deduction, even though all the fence grabbing before that. But Herb Dean finally took a point away when Dolidze grabbed into the fence again. He didn't separate the fighters to do it. All he did was signal the 1 point deduction for Dolidze in that fourth round. Now, the fourth round didn't get scored because that's where the finish was, but I can only imagine that was going to be a 10-7 round because I thought it was going to be a 10-8 with the point deduction, 10-7. I'm surprised they didn't give Hernandez a 10-8 for the third round or the second. Chris Lee is the only one who gave him a 10-8 for the second, but none of the others did. Bro, he was dominating this fight badly. Dolidze didn't have many moments outside of the first round. And that's how you have to fight Hernandez. You have to beat him in that first round, or you need to damage him enough where he slows down. I don't know many fighters that can keep up with Hernandez throughout 5 rounds. If they don't finish him early, he just drags him into the ocean and drowns him. The only two I can see possibly keeping up with Hernandez for 5 rounds are Dricus du Plessis and Sean Strickland, as they are the other two that have the best cardio in the division. Unless Hamza does have the cardio with his new training camp, right now, I think it's only Dricus and Strickland that can fight him for 5 rounds. And he just keeps getting better too. That is the most terrifying thing about Hernandez. Not only does he have endless cardio, and he is well-rounded, and he is a tough fighter, but he's getting more skilled in every fight. The last one he fought against Brendan Allen, he had an injury to his ribs and wasn't able to get the finish the way he wanted to. And to be honest, it wasn't as great of a performance, but when you see the fights before and after the Allen fight, he's looked way better out there, so it is believable that he was injured in the Allen fight, as he said. But one of the other, I guess, weaknesses that he has is that he's not the most powerful striker, so he's not going to knock you out with one shot. When you have this cardio, it's unlikely to have one-punch knockout power, where you're not going to be as explosive or fast twitch. He is more of a slow twitch fighter. He will just overwhelm you with pressure to the point that you just cannot take the shots anymore, or you give up your neck for him to choke you out. And it did look like Dolidze, to be honest, wanted a way out of there in that 4th. Because the way Hernandez got that choke, Dolidze gave almost no resistance to it, when he could have. I mean, the guy didn't have his hooks in at all. Even in the choke, the way he was, he could still get out of it. Especially for a high-level MMA fighter, right? Even though Roman Dolidze is top 10, and we talk about him not being championship quality or anything like that, he is still one of the best fighters in the world, in the total landscape of MMA, right? And a guy like him knows how to escape a rear naked choke, especially without hooks in. It looked like he just gave up there. He tapped very quickly within like 2 seconds of it. He didn't even try to stand up or anything. The fight seemed to have gotten away from Roman Dolidze so much that even a choke like that, while he's never been submitted ever in his career, that's the type of choke that submits him. And that's all credit to Anthony Hernandez. And Roman Dolidze has never been submitted in his entire career, and he's a good grappler as well. He was just so broken down at that point that it seemed like he just gave in at the last second. He's like, you know what, I'm done. I gave it my all, I can't beat this guy. He's just getting stronger and faster, but it's actually Dolidze who's getting weaker and slower, while Hernandez is at a constant. We'll see how good Anthony Hernandez is, but if I were to make a guess where I would place him in the middleweight division right now, I think only Dricus and Hamza can beat him. Dricus because he does have good cardio, he has the attributes, he's well-rounded, he can match Hernandez for a lot of that and then potentially beat him in some areas, right? Enough to win a close decision. Hamza, on the other hand, could beat Hernandez early with his grappling, so I cannot wait to see Anthony Hernandez versus the top 5 because I think he belongs in there. I think he's one of the elite middleweights and possibly could be fighting for the belt within like 1 or 2 wins, depending on who he fights next. So if he fights RDR next and beats him, then he'll get a title shot after the winner of Imavov and Bohayo. So right now we got Dricus versus Hamza. They're going to fight the winner of Imavov and Bohayo. Then we get Hernandez versus RDR, and that'll be the next #1 contender after Imavov or Bohayo fight for the belt. And in the meantime, they could do Strickland versus Adesanya too. Allen's only coming off 1 win, and he lost to both Hernandez and Imavov, so he should fight someone else in the top 10. Perhaps Brendan Allen versus Robert Whittaker would be a good fight. And there is Jared Cannonier versus Michael Venom Page. And if MVP wins, you know the perfect fight. I don't know if they'll fight each other because they're friends, but eventually at some point, if we don't get MVP versus Wonderboy, let's get MVP versus Israel Adesanya. We have to see one of those fights before they retire. So let's say Strickland beats Adesanya in a rematch, which I think he would. Then just do Adesanya versus MVP. Let's do some fun fights with these guys. Because MVP is not going to fight for a belt. He's not going to be at the top of the weight class. Stylistically, he needs to go up against strikers because these wrestlers are going to beat him. And most of the fighters in the top 5 can wrestle. So that would be an amazing fight. And if Jared Cannonier loses the MVP, then they could do Cannonier versus Costa. That's a fight we wanted to see for a while. Overall, amazing performance by Anthony Hernandez. Middleweight is so good right now. Dricus du Plessis, Hamza Chimaev, Nasruddin Imavov, Sean Strickland, Israel Adesanya, Reinier de Ridder, Caio Borralho, and now Anthony Hernandez. This division keeps getting better. And this division was so shallow a few years ago. It's crazy how good it's gotten now. Welterweight and middleweight are some of the best divisions in the UFC. Some could even argue the 2 best weight classes right now. And that's crazy because neither of these are the lighter weight classes. Usually it's from bantamweight to lightweight that are the best. But now we got welterweight and middleweight. Insane, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, make sure to give it a like, make sure to subscribe to the bell for notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video.